Prime Minister Manmohan Singh finally today made his much-awaited statement in Parliament that promised to clear all doubts on the controversial Indo-Pak joint statement made in Egypt. Was he able to clear the air? Let's get more on the subject from Anil Padmanabhan, Deputy Managing Editor of Mint. Welcome, Anil. Unlike others, you have always maintained that the statement which came from Egypt is an out-of-the-box offer from the Prime Minister. Now, was he able to convince the Parliament today about it?
Okay, let me explain why it was an out-of-the-box offer. What can be easily done with Pakistan is to keep calling them names and engaging them in this conflict, which suits Pakistan perfectly well and doesn't suit India. What the Prime Minister tried to do in Egypt was to think about it differently. Maybe he went about it clumsily, and clearly that boomeranged on him. And in Parliament today, clearly he has not been able to convince Parliament. But since there was no vote involved, you are not going to see any empirical test about whether he won or lost the debate.
Okay.
You'll have to wait for a while.
Okay, you're right. There is no vote on that. But at least on the substantive issue, let us take Balochistan. That was one, niggling point. Was he able to, convince or buttress his argument why he did it?
He actually didn't buttress the argument which he made in Egypt. What he has done is basically defended what is his interpretation, which is obviously in variance with what the rest of the world is interpreting the joint statement to be. So whether he's been able to convince Parliament, I'm not so convinced. I don't think Parliament was convinced. But once again, there is no yes or no vote on this. So you really wouldn't know till a little later in time.
The other issue is about the political aspect of it. That there has been murmurs within the party that this is one of the, and there were, I think there are many people who are saying that this is perhaps a litmus test as a politician for the Prime Minister. How do you think he fared?
In that, I think he succeeded well, because it was very clear in the build-up to this whole debate that the party was not coming out in the open and backing him as they did, say, a year ago when the US civil nuclear deal plunged the government into a political crisis. Today he stood up in Parliament virtually on his own. He had the support of his party, but not in a voluble manner. And he was up against the opposition. And he took them on. And I think he took them on fairly well. And once again, since the odds were not so significant, I should say, clearly you won't know in yes and no black and white terms as to whether he won and lost. But yes, he has survived that test.
Okay. Let me just quickly ask a question. I think Yashwant Sinha made a very strong speech, and some of the remarks are direct. Was he able to ward them off, and was he able to take along a section of his own party after today's performance?
About Yashwant Sinha, yes, it's a debate. It's like a rhetorical debate, and Sinha's questions were rhetorical, and Manmohan Singh did not respond in rhetoric. He answered in facts. So really, you can't weigh the two. But in terms of convincing his party, whether the party came out and rushed and embraced him, I didn't see any of that, as I saw in the Indo-US civil nuclear deal when he was feted so majorly after the government won the vote of confidence.
Okay. Thanks, Anil.